Hello, everyone. My name is Mick Thornton with Project Evers, and I am here with Wendy Scott. Wendy is a math and digital media teacher at Decatur Community High School, and she is also part of the Project Evers sponsored coffee and conversation group. So Wendy and I and a couple other people, we meet regularly to create actionable ideas to help their district become its best and most trauma-informed self. And Wendy has agreed to join me today. We're going to talk about a really neat idea that the group recently designed and implemented called Hobby Day. Wendy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So tell us about the original idea of Hobby Day.
The idea started this winter. We had some students who were in turmoil and just unhappy. And as a staff, we kind of had conversations about, like, what do we do for these kids? And one of our side conversations is that we want kids to find joy, and we want them to, find meaning in life. And sometimes some of the things that give us like joy are not necessarily our schoolwork and our professions, but it might just be the little extras that we do. And so I kind of started putting together maybe an idea that we could, as staff, showcase some of the hobbies that we enjoy that make us, feel gratified in life and feel a certain amount of joy that, just comes from the activity itself and the pride we take in it. So we decided to host a Hobbies Day so that, kids could rotate through and hear different staff talk about something that they felt passionate about. So the official name was Hobbies and Passions Day. And so we had staff who, wanted to talk about their sprint car, and we had somebody who wanted to show kids how to crochet and that kind of thing. And the hope is not only does it show kids that there's so much more out there beyond, partying or using your smartphone for your only form of entertainment, but also it would be a good way to build a relationship with staff members in a non-academic setting, because if you're just not clicking with the subject matter of the teacher, it might feel like it's hard to build a relationship with them. So maybe this will help kids see us in a different light. And so those were the driving forces, is just to share some passions and help inspire the kids, but also to build relationships in a different way.
That is super cool. So how did you actually do it?
So quite a while before we started, I don't know, 2 months, 6 weeks beforehand, we surveyed the staff and asked them, like, what hobbies what passions or interests might you want to share with kids? And we got back so much feedback. Like, some staff members had 4 or 5 different things they would be comfortable sharing. So we had a really lengthy list. And we took that list to the kids and just asked them to maybe mark things that appealed to them or sounded intriguing, because we needed to narrow it down, because it needed to be a small, tameable beast the first time that we tried to do this. So after the survey data, we were able to say, okay, so-and-so wanted to showcase 5 different hobbies, but here's the one that piqued the most interest. And so we set it up so that every staff member had 3 sessions throughout the morning. And we picked a day of school that was a half day anyway, because we had some teacher trainings to do in the afternoon. And so we let the kids choose sessions. And if they didn't get into one of the sessions in the first session that they really wanted, they might be able to shuffle into it during session 2 or session 3. So we did have repeated sessions so that there was more than one opportunity for most things. And so then once we'd finalized the sessions that we wanted to offer, we sent out another survey where kids could choose like a first and second choice for session 1 and a first and second choice for session 2, and so on and so forth. And we tried to honor at least one of their first choices when we finally shuffled kids into classes. And we had a lot of spreadsheets to juggle so that I could go back and look and see, what did they not get into that they might like in session 3, because everything in session 3 that they wanted is full. And so that part was tedious and took a little bit of time, but we had kids who it was really clear that they sat beside their best friend and filled the surveys out together, and they wanted to do exactly the same things all the way through. So we intentionally shuffled those kids into different sessions. So, I mean, they might have been a little disappointed, but we felt like that was good for them to, experience it with different groups. And we did try to go through and screen some groups and make sure maybe there's two personalities that should not necessarily be together. And we'd shuffle kids around. So that part took a lot of care and consideration compared with a lot of the preparation work. And so when we actually executed the plan, we had 3 50-minute long sessions. We'd never done it before, so we didn't know if 50 minutes was a good thing or not. And most people felt like that ended up being about right. We had maybe one staff member who said that was too long and one staff member that said that was a little too short, and everybody else seemed happy. So 50 might be almost a magic number. And then we closed the day after the 3 sessions and let the kids have like 45 minutes of dodgeball in the gym. And it was just kind of a day with no academics, and it was kind of special. So.
Wow, that is amazing. So what were some of the groups that actually made the cut, some of the hobbies?
Okay. We had a group that did the sprint cars. And somebody just brought a sprint car and talked to them about it. I didn't get to go see some of the sessions in action, so I don't have all the particulars, but we had a group that learned to play pinochle, and we had another group that learned to play chess, pitch. We just had a random, like a board games group in one room where kids could just pick out what they wanted to play with somebody. We had crocheting. We had a teacher who brought her Cricut, the vinyl cutting electronic device, and she helped them each make like a personalized keychain with the Cricut. We had a pair of teachers who paired up to teach like some line dancing and swing dancing. We had macrame plant hangers. We had, there was a list. It ended up being quite a few things. I'm sure I'm leaving something really exciting out. Oh, we had a group that 2 teachers paired up to teach how to make sushi, and the kids got to eat when they were done. So that ended up being pretty popular. I'll have to think. I don't know what else there was.
That is so much fun. So you put this all together. It actually happened in real space and time.
Mm-hmm.
So how did it go? Looking back on it, how was it?
It went so well. There was anticipation building up to that day because the kids, there were a few teachers who maybe let a kid look at a spreadsheet, but most kids did not know what sessions they were going to be in. So when the school day started, they showed up to their first class and took lunch count and attendance, and then the spreadsheet went out 2 minutes later so that the kids could see where they were supposed to go. So they really didn't know if they got their first choices or not. And some kids they didn't like the idea that they didn't know ahead of time, and they were disappointed when they heard rumors that you didn't get your first choice in everything. But at the end of the day in the gym, when the kids gathered for dodgeball, there were kids sitting in the bleachers still trying to crochet and finish something. There were kids trying to finish a friendship bracelet from a friendship bracelet session. And it was just the most smiles that we've seen. Like I had so many teachers say there were so many smiles in the gym. They really had a good time. And the next morning I came to school and I had an email from a student, and she was just so blunt with me. And she said, I really didn't think I was going to like that. I didn't think it sounded fun, and I had so much fun yesterday. So thank you for doing that. And that was really sweet because kids are not, always so humble as to say I was wrong, and I'm glad that we did it. So that was nice. And we surveyed staff, and our staff said we should do it again. And quite a few of them said we should do it like more than once a year, because originally we set out thinking we want to turn this into an annual event and maybe have it be a full day event versus a half day, but a half day just felt like a manageable way to start. So we have people who want to do it every quarter, which sounds kind of intimidating when you think about the amount of time for the spreadsheets, but it probably would be worth it. I don't know if administration would let us do it every 9 weeks, but we'd like to do it at least twice a year. So
that's super neat.
We'd like to expand it and invite in community members. And, being like a COVID scene, we just decided we'll start simple with our staff. But there are people in our community who have some interesting hobbies and skills and are creative, and it might be neat to expand it that way too. So.
That's fun. And have you thought about expanding, maybe even including some student talents, that kind of thing, or hobbies?
Yes, we did. We had conversations about that because we started saying, well, we could have different themes. Like there could be a day that was an arts theme and a day that was a hobbies and passions theme. And there could be a day that was an adulting theme where kids learn to tie ties and whatnot. And one of our teachers said, wait, if we do an adulting day, then that's going to use up a lot of the activities that I do with my leadership class. And so then we said, well, what if your leadership class could be the kids teaching how to tie the ties and do these different adulting skills? And then somebody mentioned maybe it could be 4-H kids who come in and give sessions about one of the projects they're really passionate about. And so I think it would be neat to have to aim towards some sessions at least that are student run. We have some pretty crafty, creative kids. It would be neat to see if we can get them to showcase.
That's super cool. And if I understand correctly, you guys' decision to not release the groups and tell the kids exactly what they were going to be doing until the last minute, that was tactical, right?
Yes. We figured if the kids knew 2 or 3 days ahead of time what sessions they got into, that we would just be bombarded by emails. Can't you change me to a different one? Like it could be kind of overwhelming at our end. And then we'd have to decide which kids we were going to allow a change for and which ones we weren't. So we decided to just leave it as a surprise. And really, I think the suspense worked in our favor in the end. So I guess I kind of recommend that just because then you don't have the complainers before they've even tried something out. They don't want to do it. It's good for kids to try things that they've never heard of and don't feel comfortable with. So it was a good choice. And, we had discussions that maybe some year we wouldn't even send a survey and we'd just assign kids to different things. Or maybe we'd have kids draw a number at the beginning of the day to figure out what session they go to first. And, you'd have to be cautious because then you might run into personalities that shouldn't be together, but it's still a thought. It could be fun.
Wow. Sounds like you guys have some pretty cool next steps planned already.
Yeah, I think that we'll definitely continue this. It's exciting and it was so much fun. It was a rewarding day.
Any advice for other districts that are maybe listening to this and thinking they might want to jump in and have a passions and hobbies day?
Um, we decided consciously to make it simple at the beginning with just our staff. And I think that was good because it ended up being, by the time you orchestrate where the kids are going and you figure out what supplies you need to help people get, which the Evers project helped us get our supplies. But by the time you do those things, it's pretty overwhelming. So if it's the first time you want to do it, I guess that starting with just your staff might be a good way to do that rather than branch out to community right away. I think that's my big one. We had a few sessions, only 2 teachers maybe, who rather than having 3 sessions of the same thing, we let them have 2 sessions of one thing and their third session was something different. I don't think I'd do that again. I mean, that just made things a little complicated. So
Well said. Well, thank you so much, Wendy. Wendy and her team, her coffee and conversation group, have actually lots of ideas in the pipeline. They've been super fun to work with, and I am super excited to see how that continues to go as we continue forward in that. For any of you districts that would be interested in starting a coffee and conversation group with us here at Project Evers, I'm going to put a link in the YouTube notes here so you can click on that and sign up, and we'll get one of these going for you too. Wendy, thank you so much for all of your work, and we'll look forward to seeing what happens next.
All right. Thank you very much.